Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Well in this truth from who do well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the 1/3, the large multitude. Unto you I say shalom. Coming to you back with another Let's Do the Spirit. And I'm entitled this one, This Current World is for many, but the one to come for few. Going into this current world that we know being ran by the so-called white man, which is Esau Edom. You know, the kingdom of Esau Edom, which is being ruled in complete wickedness, completely contrary to the scriptures. And that's why majority of the people upon the planet Earth, especially here in America, you know, they thrive. They thrive in wickedness, because if it was the other way around, then all these people would be losing. That's why the elect, you know, the hopeful elect right now, it may seem like, you know, we don't got much, like, you know, we're losing. Like, you see all these wicked ass people winning, all these celebrities, you know, 2/3 Jakes in the world, these Edomites. But ultimately, this is their consolation. This is as good as it gets for these so-called white people, these Edomites. You know, you see Jake, that, you know, so-called made it in society. You see them, you know, cheesing hard as hell because they got millions, or they're pretty well off. But what Jake doesn't understand, that all these things, they're about to be taken away, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is putting the spirit on his devil, the so-called white man, which is Esau Edom, to crash the system. And when this devil crashes this system, you know, majority of our people, they're gonna be, you know, assed out. They're not gonna have shit, because they put their trust in the system. You know, they put their trust in this world, thinking that it was gonna last forever. But very soon, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is about to crash the system, and he's about to do away with all this bullshit, all this, you know, 9-to-5 society, paying taxes, you know, bread and circus. So ultimately, at that time, the roles are going to be reversed. That time and period, all these 2/3 Jakes, these people in the world, they're going to go from having so-called everything to nothing. And the elect, they're going to go from you know, so-called having nothing to having everything, because we got everything right now. You know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, we have this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. This wisdom, the fear of the Lord. While these people, they don't have that. So you can see these people so-called winning in life, but they're really not winning. You know, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is leading them to their destruction. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 1. And he answered me, saying, the Most High had made this world for many, but the world to come for few. So this current world being ran by the white man is for many. It is not meant for the elect. That's why ultimately, you know, before we came into this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we never really resonated in this world. You know, we really never fit in. You know, always felt like an outcast, or, you know, maybe we you know, had, you know, friends in the world or whatever. But ultimately, we know that, like, nah, this ain't right. You know, the ways the world is being ran, you know, the way these people move, that it's off. And then once we came into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, now we know, like, oh, okay, you know, it makes sense. You know, how the world is being ran, that is not the correct way. And now we know that the true way that it should be ran is with the laws, statutes, and commandments at the forefront. You know, and that's going to happen when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai brings this devil down and delivers the elect of the nation of Israel, and they get changed into the new bodies. You know, that's going to be the kingdom of heaven up on the planet Earth. And that's what we're looking forward to in that world, that you know, the new world, the new age, which is going to be ran by the nation of Israel, starting with Yahushai, King David, and the rest of the 144,000. That's going to be a world, you know, for few. You know, yeah, the whole nation of Israel is going to be there, but it's going to start with the elect. This is Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 14. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. So this current city, this current, situation, we know this ain't it. We know that this is not the end all be all. Unlike majority of Jake, to think, oh shit, this is as good as it gets, America. So I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna be wicked as all hell. I'm gonna, chase the bag and then do all these abominable works to get the bag. That's the mindset that these 2/3 Jakes are in, but not the elect, because we know that we got something better coming. We know that we got the kingdom of heaven coming. So it is nothing for us to, or not nothing, but it makes it easier for us to detach from this life, to forsake this life, to hate this life, because we don't really have shit here. We know that all these things that Jake, has comfort in, the things of the world, that's about to be taken away very soon. And all these 2/3 Jakes that have made this world their comfort, those roles are about to be reversed. They're about to be completely naked, no covering, no comfort whatsoever, and they're going to be seeking for that comfort, but they're not going to find it. But not the elect. We know that we got comfort, through the Holy Spirit. We know that we got something better coming, the kingdom of heaven. This is 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And that's majority of our people. They love the world. They love Babylon the Great. They love America. They love Christianity and the bread and circus, completely consumed by it. All the distractions and the lust of the world. So majority of our people, if it was up to them, they would stay here forever. They would stay in this world, continue to work the 9 to 5. But not the elect. We know that this world ain't it. We know that it's being ran in complete wickedness, and therefore, we want it destroyed, because we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemiel Shah how it's supposed to be ran. And right now it's not being ran that way. That's why the world's in mourning. When the wicked are in power, the people mourn. But when the righteous are in rulership, the people are going to rejoice. So everybody's going to benefit from Jake, from the nation of Israel being in power. Even the heathens. Verse 16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. So all these things that Jake and all these people in the world love to indulge in, the lust of the flesh, that's all of this world, and people aren't willing to give that up. The fast food, the DoorDash, the McDonald's, the Starbucks, the bread and circus. Majority of people, they're not willing to let that go to follow after Yahweh Shemiel Shai. They'd rather continue being in the world, continue to be wicked, commit adultery and eat pork and worship Christianity because it feels good to the flesh. When you come back to Yahweh Shemiel Shai and repent, the scriptures are completely contrary to the flesh. And that's what majority of Jake isn't willing to let go of. Like, nah, I got to afflict myself. I got to fast. I got to keep the Passover and do all these. Nah, Jake isn't willing to do that. So that's why ultimately majority of our people are going to have to get put to death. Verse 17, and the world passeth away and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. So this current world is passing away. It's about to be done away with very soon. And that's what majority of our people, they don't get. They think that this world is going to continue on forever, but it's not. Ultimately, the world, the upcoming world, the upcoming age, the upcoming kingdom, which is going to be the kingdom of heaven, that's not going to pass away. That's going to be eternal. And that's what we're looking forward to, is being sovereign. The new bodies with the law, statutes, commandments written in our inward parts. Never to sin ever again. And if we don't sin, then what's the result of that? Is immortality, because the wages of sin are death. But yet Jake wants to stay here in this polluted ass shit. America, Babylon the Great, continue to breathe chemtrails and drink polluted water and eat GMO foods. That's why Jake is going to have to be destroyed, because they don't want to let go of that shit. Just like in the time of Egypt and during the time of Exodus, Jake did not want to leave that Egypt way of life. So that's why ultimately Yahweh Shemiel Shai had to put the wicked of our people during the wilderness to death. And it's going to be the same thing today. You know, Yahweh Shemel Shai isn't going to deliver the whole nation of Israel. You know, he's going to leave majority of Jake here to be destroyed, to be burnt up, because they refuse to leave this world behind. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. So it's saying, you know, arise and depart. Not saying get on a plane and fly to an island far away. No, detach yourself from this place. You know, be less invested in this world, because we know, you know, that it's about to pass away. But you know, it's not saying, oh, quit your job and you know, go in a dark room and you know, be in the lotus. No, ultimately it's going into not being invested, not having your mind set up on this place, because it's about to be done away with. You know, we still got our worldly responsibilities, you know, going to work, going to 9 to 5, you know, paying the bills and whatnot. You know, if you have your family, you still have to tend to your family, you know, but it's not saying, oh, just, you know, get on a plane and fly far away. No, it's going into not being invested in this place, because it's about to be done away with. Yahweh Shemel Shai is crashing this system. He's crashing all this shit. You know, but yet Jake wants to stay here and be invested, not knowing that all these things of the world, they're about to be done away with. You know, because ultimately Yahweh Shemel Shai is making a room for the kingdom of heaven. You know, and that's what we're looking forward to, not to continue here in America for another however many years Jake think that America has left. You know, that's why majority of our people, they're going to have to get put to death, because they're so caught up in this world that they don't see a better thing. You know, but not the elect. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. We see the kingdom of heaven, and we know that it's nigh. You know, we can feel it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai that is close. The salvation is close. Deliverance is close. You know, and also the destruction of this world, the destruction of the kingdom of Esau, Edom. You know, but that's pretty much the point. I pray this is edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from and who do well. Peace and salutations to 144,000. Unto Yaseh Shalom.